Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Marcus Smith. I am the host of the InnerFight podcast. And yes, we have been doing this for a very long time. Hopefully you enjoy the show. If you don't enjoy these long format shows, then you might enjoy 5-Minute Mondays, where every Monday in 5 minutes or less, I find something or someone to talk to and or about, to try and learn something about something. That's basically how it works. 5 minutes on a Monday, and then the longer show here on a Friday. You don't have to listen to it on a Friday, but if you listen to it when it first comes out, that also makes me super happy. I don't know why, but it does. And it probably sets you up for a weekend. That's why I release it on a Thursday afternoon, Friday morning. This week's guest is someone who I met just over a year ago. She actually attended one of our Show No Weakness initiatives. When she arrived at the initiative, she had this amazing sense of calm about her. Everyone else was very anxious, understandably, a little bit nervous, fear in their eyes that they were going to spend 24 hours in the middle of the desert. They didn't really know what they were going to be doing. And they don't really know much for Show No Weakness. But my guest today arrived and she was completely relaxed. I noticed her straight away. And for the last year, she's become an increasingly amazing part of the InnerFight community. Her energy, her smile, and her attitude to how she does everything, whether it's having a coffee or whether it's doing a workout, is, to say the least, incredibly inspiring. I'm sure you will enjoy the next hour that Federica sits and chats with us. Welcome to this week's show announcements. And I hope you haven't got here too late, because December the 9th, Saturday morning, is Celebrate Fitness. We are going to be working out as a community together, no matter what part of our community you are a part of. We will be working out, having fun, and celebrating fitness, celebrating the end of another year, celebrating the festive season, celebrating everything related to fitness. Join us 8:30 Saturday morning here at InnerFight. We'd love to see you. And then afterwards at the Els Club, 12 till 3, for some more celebrations, refreshments, food, and community. It'd be great to see everybody there. Following on from that, there is the Dubai Fitness Championships this weekend. Our coach, Toby Buckland, is part of that. Some of the best CrossFit athletes in the world are here participating in what really has become one of the biggest competitions outside of the CrossFit Games on the annual calendar. As far as two things go: one, prize money. Not sure what that's at this year, but in previous years it's been absolutely huge. You'd expect nothing else from Dubai. And secondly, due to that, the names and the talent from the global, I guess you could say, but it is people coming from Australia, people coming from America, the global talent pool of CrossFit athletes comes to Dubai each year for the Dubai Fitness Championships. It's absolutely huge. It's down at the tennis stadium this weekend, I believe Saturday, Sunday night. Have a look, hop over to their Instagram, and you can find out all about that. We are here. We are open all over the festive season. There is, on some days, like Christmas Day, a slightly reduced calendar, but please do come and work out with us. If you're visiting Dubai over the festive season and you want to come and have a sweat, have a workout, or just have a coffee with us, that would be awesome. We are here. Drop us a message, get in touch, have a look on MindBody, any way you like to communicate. There are classes going on and endurance sessions going on all over the festive season. If that's not really what you're about and you just want to come for a coffee and a nice paleo treat, then Smith Street Cafe is also open all throughout the festive season. It probably won't open on Christmas Day, but that's to be confirmed yet. It'll be open all the other days apart from that. So there might be one day where you have to make your own coffee. We are the only coffee shop in the area, and one of the only coffee shops in Dubai that opens at 5:30 in the morning until 1 p.m. During the week and on weekdays, we're open from 7 till 1 as well. So pass by if you've got a little bit of time this festive season. It would be awesome to have a coffee with you. If you're looking for inspiration for a Christmas gift, then why not give the gift of fitness this year? We have all sorts of options available, whether you want to buy someone a beautiful t-shirt like the one I'm wearing right now, or even the cap, or you want to gift someone a few classes here at InnerFight, personal training for a loved one, give us a shout, winning@innerfight.com. There are plenty of gift options available. That's it for this week's announcements. Let's get into the show. This is episode number 862 of the InnerFight podcast. Everybody is different with Federica. Enjoy the show. Federica, I've wanted to speak to you for a long time, actually.
Wow.
If the truth be known. We first met Show No Weakness, which for the people that listen to the show, they maybe know what it's about. My first question for you, why did you do Show No Weakness?
I did Show No Weakness because I was curious about how I would have reacted to something unknown, because even there is a kind of description to promote the event. Yeah. I actually didn't know what it was about, and even if I have been, like everyone, put under pressure by life, but that specific circumstance was very inviting.
Yeah.
And I joined it without fear, but a lot of curiosity. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Why no fear?
Because I knew that it was something organized, where people would have, actually the organizers would have taken care of ourselves in a certain extent. So, and the other reason was because I was with a team. So the fact that I was sharing the same experience with other people was giving me enough strength and courage to be in that 24 hours of mental toughness. Yeah.
That's what it struck me, because a lot of people come to Show No Weakness and you can feel fear, you can feel nerves, but you kind of just arrived, and it's just like, it was almost like you were going to the beach.
Yeah.
You had this, like, you were excited, but you were super relaxed.
I was relaxed, yeah.
And I saw it from the start. Whereas, where does that come from?
A lot of work.
Does it?
Yeah, it does it. I define myself an eternal optimist, and I've been always like this since I was a kid. I was always, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. And some people were telling me, why do you always say beautiful to everything you see and experience? But this does not mean that I'm always like this, because of course is very normal to experience and feel the fear. Actually, we should, and I do. But I decide always to give this answer to circumstances. That is, I can do it better than the circumstance itself.
So it's been since childhood.
Since childhood, yeah.
Do you believe that you get those behaviors from people around you, with your parents like that, with teachers like that? Where does it come from?
For sure, there is an element of inheritance. So we all know that from the womb, we get and inherit like attitudes, feelings, but then of course it comes from your environment, where you are growing, where you are studying, the experiences that you are exposed to, the parents, the talks that you listen to, the examples, and as well what you decide to keep from all of this, because whatever is hitting us is you can either delete or you can either decide to keep, to transform, and eventually to master into something even more interesting. And so my family is a very positive family. My grandparents were very positive people. And
Did they play a big role in your upbringing, your grandparents?
Absolutely, yes. My grandmother especially, I was calling her every day. So, yeah. And even if she was old, she could absolutely keep my pace in terms of speed, in terms of topics that I was talking to her. I was talking to her about whatever, even if probably she had no clue. But, she was very important, yeah.
You said something there that's quite interesting, and I want to jump straight into it. You said we can choose to take things in, or we can choose to delete things. Immediately I'm thinking about subconscious and conscious mindset. And some people you very much know, and maybe we'll try and uncover why you know and why you have this self-awareness that you have. But a lot of people are unable to delete things. A lot of people take things in without knowing they're taking things in, and things start to impact them that they can't almost consciously put their finger on why. You know, they might be feeling down, but they just, when did you first become aware? Like, because you seem to know so confidently, that's for me, that's not for me, I'm this one. You know what? Do you have sort of early memories? Okay, we know early you were very positive and you have a mindset, I can do things. But this awareness that I can sense, and I've seen a lot of, like, I think it's conscious and subconscious mindset, where did it come from? Or where did it start?
If I have to say, consciously, it started probably 10 years ago. Unconsciously, I don't know. But 10 years ago, what I did was joining a coaching session. And I started realizing between this difference that you have just mentioned between be conscious and being unconscious about things. Since then, as soon as I took in the knowledge, I started practicing what my coach at that time had just explained to me. I believe that this kind of confidence comes from exercise, comes from introspective analysis, which is something that people do not do. Generally, it costs a lot of time, a lot of effort, sometimes pain, because you have to think to uncomfortable thoughts, what you generally try to put on the side. And keep observing yourself. So once you exercise your confidence, you exercise your willpower, I want to do this and not that, you really become stronger and calmer because you are aligned with what you want and what you need versus what you don't want and you don't need, that many people do anyways.
What led you to that coach 10 years ago then?
It led my, let's say, I would say yes, insatisfaction that I had that time, a little bit about my life. I was a little bit bored, and a lot about my job. Even if I was very good in what I was doing. I was a marketing manager, senior marketing manager in my past life.
We're gonna go to your past life.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So I decided to just do a little bit of coaching, as I truly believe in coaching, and it helped me a lot. Actually, it was one specific day, if I can share it, that I woke up and I was living at that time in the city center of Milano. I was 3 tram stop from Piazza Duomo, which is 3 tram stops is, I don't know, less than 10 minutes walk. Yeah. And I was waiting for the tram, and I had just a third eye looking at me, and I saw myself doing this back and forth. So my house, office, and back, and back, and back. And I said, but you have traveled till now so much, you have been so dynamic, and just because you have an amazing and prestigious job, do you want to do this and slightly die, sorry. Yeah. And so at that point I said, I don't want to transform myself in something that is not my own nature. So I decided to enroll to this coaching session, which was with a lady that I still sometimes talk to, and it was very nice.
So that was almost, I guess, a pivotal point of your life. Like, a lot changed.
Yeah.
You said something really interesting there, that people don't do it because it costs time, you have to work a lot on self-reflection, and you also said it's painful. What do you mean by it was painful?
Well, for instance, taking this as an example, this decision of change, that moment, of course, when you want to change something, you have to let go of something else. You have to change something in the process. Otherwise, if you keep staying on the same track, the result will be still the same. And it's not always easy to let go of an habit or of a piece of that process, because it's what feels comfortable on your skin. It's what you do without any effort. So realizing that certain things should be ejected by your daily routine might be painful, but there is always an analysis to do, pros and cons. What comes first? I truly believe that, you know, in the oxygen mask metaphor, you have to breathe first if you want to actually be nice, strong enough, helpful for the others around you. And it's not about being egoistic, selfish, how do you say? Selfish. But it's just being, let's say, performing at your peak. To be. It's
such an interesting concept, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people that go to coaches in this scenario probably think that coach has put their oxygen mask on themselves first and have their shit figured out. But in reality, a lot of the time they actually don't. It's a huge mess. I want to ask, when you reached out to a coach, you said it was a female coach who you're still in touch with. When you came to Show No Weakness, you had this relaxation. When you went to your first coaching session, how did you feel?
I felt anxious. I cried a lot, which is, tears of joy. I always...
Really?
Absolutely. They are tears of awareness, and they are tears of something that is actually showing you that it's time to grow, time to progress. I had no clue about the power of visualization, which I did before reaching Show No Weakness.
Wow.
I was putting myself in the middle of the desert, imagining people around me that I didn't know, and just, let's say, anticipating calmness in myself.
Wow.
It's something that I generally do. And it works. The mind does not know if you are tricking it or not. I can laugh because you are telling me a joke. I can laugh because I want to laugh. The chemical response from my body will be exactly the same. Joy.
For some people, and I know I'm stuck a little bit on the coach, but I think it's important because it's quite a pivotal part, and it seems like it was the start of a lot of good things, which I hope to get to. Some people, the first port of call is they reach out to someone. Other people, they spend a lot of time working on their own, whether it's reading books, reflection, many different things. What had you done till that point? Was reaching out to someone after you'd been on the tram platform with the third eye, was that the first thing? Or do you think you'd done things previously that brought you to a point that you were almost ready to be coached and ready to talk?
Well, actually, to be really honest, I see whatever came before that moment with... as a moment of, as a period, of reactiveness and a little bit of foggy.
Really?
Yeah. I was reading, but reading itself is informative. But is instructive, but it's not transformative.
Yeah.
Because to transform yourself, you have to move things inside yourself that on your own, it's not always possible to reach because you are part of the problem. You need guidance. You need someone that is, as a coach from outside, able to read in a certain way, which is emotionally detached, what is happening, and can actually pinch you in a way that you can actually see that problem, not a problem anymore, hence doing a transformation. I always tell to people I work with that a book lands on inside or on yourself, but you are exactly the same person that you were at the beginning of the book, a month or 2 weeks before. So the content will be understood, but it won't be necessarily digested and giving you different energies. While if you do work with someone, you change, and that content can be boosted by your next bold move, by your next action. Yeah,
it's great. It's a super interesting point because, and we spoke about it before we started recording, and you kindly brought me a book which I'm very excited to read. A lot of people will say, what book or what podcast can I listen to that's going to fix this problem? But it's not like that. How can 300 pages or an hour of you and I having a great discussion, it might start to spark some things, but those things will, for some people, will need continuous development. And sometimes that is through a third party, through a coach or through a mentor. Do you think some people can do it on their own? Do you think people can go on this journey on their own of essentially what we're talking about is this increased awareness, self-discovery, or do we always need what you said? You said it really nicely, that you need someone just to keep you in check, really, and just to ask those questions.
I truly believe that also the most resourceful person needs to be guided always. Of course, a very resourceful person can continue in parallel to develop himself, herself, but You are from the sport industry, and also an athlete for the Olympics has a coach. And the reason is we are always not 100% able to assess ourselves. Because we are, again, part of the problem. We are ourselves looking at ourselves. So yes, we can be absolutely very near to be, ourselves coaches, but we need always someone else looking at and helping us for progress.
What's your thoughts on, there's a lot of, I think there's an increased, thankfully, talking about, so we've, 15 years ago, if you were going to a life coach or an executive coach, people, I think, were skeptical. They're like, what really? We've passed that now, and those types of coaches are accepted. In the last 4 or 5 years, and maybe it's a result from COVID, who knows, who cares, we've seen people more open to seeing therapists. What's the difference? What's the... because I still think there's a certain amount of dogma around, okay, I have a coach. Like you said, I'm an athlete, I have a coach. Okay, I'm a businessman, I have a therapist. It's like, you have a therapist? Yeah, I have like a shrink. Do you know what I mean? Where are the lines? Are they blurred? Are they clear? How does it sit?
So for me, they are very clear. Because a therapist works with patients. And a coach works with people that want to, from point A, reach point B, and have not necessarily a problem. They just need a kick or a little bit more clarity. So the reason people still go to therapists is cultural. Is because even if this obstacle, as you mentioned, has been overcome, thank you. But it's still a new professional role, and they always tend to think that there is something that does not work in their brain. And they go to a therapist, but at the end, they do not necessarily work from point A to point B, because the therapist has not that role, has to dig into a problem, right? And I don't know if I express myself clearly. Patient versus client, understand what's the problem versus let's reach a goal together in a very practical way.
Isn't if you go to, I'm going to challenge it now, isn't if you go to a therapist, you still want to go from A to B. And sometimes I say we're all just trying to be a little bit less fucked. Or we're all a bit fucked up, and we're just trying to be a little bit less fucked up. So that can actually be the goal. Whether it's I'm a little bit shit at running, and I want to be. And I know it sounds like a negative mindset, but it's a mindset that a lot of people are in. I just want to be a little bit better than last in the class at running. When I go to a therapist, I just want to not have quite so much anxiety, maybe. So it's kind of it's interesting, because I personally see them quite similar in the fact that they're doing what you said before, in that they're there to guide you, to ask you questions, you can read all the books, and I agree 100% with you, and I think I always say this. If I have a business problem, there's one guy I call. If I have a training problem, there's one. If I have an emotional problem, and I kind of had these people, a handful of people that you trust implicitly, and they're all coaches to me. There's no formal relationship, but they're all coaches and mentors that each, and most of the time I've come to where and I'm presenting the idea. So I'd turn around to you and I'd say, listen, maybe it's an emotional thing. I've been dealing with this. This is where I've got to. What do you think? And you'd go, yeah, that's cool. Have you thought of this? No. Okay, cool. And you just, is what I say to people. That's what we do for people. We're just holding up a mirror. Have you thought of this? But it's an interesting situation because, like I said, when we look at the timeline of coaching and therapy, coaches and therapists have been around for a long time. If in 2005 to 2010 you say, yeah, I'm seeing a life coach, now like it's like, what do you do? Well, I sort of help people's lives. Oh, you're a life coach. It's like, we embarrass me. And then it's like, oh, I've got an appointment today. What appointment do you have? A therapist. Okay, be proud. So you're gonna see.
Exactly.
It's been a weird time.
Yeah.
Because we're just people helping people.
Exactly. It's cultural. There is always this tendency of showing no weakness.
Showing weakness or showing no weakness. Right?
Yeah, because we are in a society based on judgment. Good, not good, and the mental, motivational, whatever is the things you want to discuss either with a therapist or with a coach is not by all, but a little bit it is perceived as, are you okay?
Yeah.
And this is so wrong because as we take care of our biceps and triceps and we should take care of our little bit of anxiety.
You said that's cultural. What culture is it? And I'm going to challenge you again here because I disagree. I think it's humans and judgment and ego, which you've spoken about a lot. I think it's across all cultures. I think if you go in any culture, I don't know many cultures that it's normal, like you said, we're okay to say we want to develop our biceps, but we're not okay to say, I suffer from anxiety. I need to somehow work on it.
You don't agree. I agree with you. I think that it's true. It's cross, let's say, target all over the world. But there are, for instance, I'm Italian. And I'm from the south of Italy. And already in my nation, about the same topics, there are two ideas where in Milano is very common to say, I go to the psychologist.
Really?
Yeah, it's common. In the South, go to church. Or are you okay? Don't say this. It's better if you don't say this. And I can tell it because I lived 20 years in Milano, so I can...
Really?
Yeah. So it's true that it's everywhere, but the intensity, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What do you think then? Like, I think we'd both like to live, I mean, we create our perfect world, right? I think we'd both like to live in a world where it was normal to speak about feelings and emotions and things like that. How do we help each other when it comes to that? And what can we do as humans to stop the cultural things that we have or the human things that we have where it's like, away, you know? What can we do?
So I would answer saying, and then I'll explain myself, of course, that our reality is not our totality. So to help someone, we should absolutely be convinced that what we know is not everything. And we should drop off the lenses that are personal ones and we should then listen without judging. So understanding that everything is relative first, and then listening and trying to be as much as objective as possible without getting emotional involved, because we will go back to the start and give eventually a solution, propose a solution, because whoever is asking for help, generally when he's asking for help, is open to, let's say, intake the solution, but it might be that easy necessarily, because people are, again, scared to change, scared to follow exactly what you are envisioning for them as a solution. But then with the patience and kindness and repetition, you can absolutely channel the right action for the person.
You said the word judgment a few times now.
Yeah.
Why do you think we judge people?
We do all judge naturally, because since we are kids, our parents are saying, good boy, good girl, what have you done? So this is a scale, a measuring scale. Then this is why we judge, but then we judge because we tend to think that we are right, that what we think and see is right, forcefully right. But it's not true, because this is my point of view. This is we forget that when we live in whichever is the talk, the relation, the exchange, we are within a negotiation process. And the negotiation, not about the price, but about the ideas, needs the parts to be involved in a very respectful way, because you want to win and I want to win as well. So the midfield, the mid-ground is where we should try to aim both.
It's interesting. I agree. Like we're often very sort of blinkered, aren't we? Mm-hmm. We're like, we judge people because we believe in a certain way, and when that person doesn't fit into that way, we believe it's wrong, so then we make a judgment, and judgment comes in a number of different ways. Judgment comes in the way that we look at people, the body language that we give to people, or the words that we share with people, which sometimes are, all three of them can be crippling. Mm-hmm. But it's because we believe that the way that we know is the only way.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's what this place has the potential, as in Dubai, has the potential to help people get better at that, but it also pushes people more on the other side, right?
Yeah,
it's interesting because it's so multicultural.
Yeah. You can either mix or decide to polarize even more.
Yeah. And it takes quite an open mindset, because there's so many cultures and because there's so many different people. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just look in the gym, I actually don't know off my head how many nationalities we have, but we have a lot.
Yeah.
And everyone is brought up in a different way, and everyone believes in different things. Mm-hmm. And I actually see it quite a lot, that when people maybe first arrive, you see their eyes doing certain things, and then later their eyes are not doing those things anymore. And that's why I say we judge people by the way that we look at them, the body language we give them, and the words that we share.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway from that is really to be just what you said, to sort of stay open, that it's not the only way.
It's not the only way. And of course, a major role is played by your own ego.
Yeah. Because
you're not winning necessarily.
Yes.
And we should try to be aware when our ego is stepping in, because it can ruin and it can miss many opportunities, while a little bit of less ego is way more constructive and can boost a lot more a group session or a one-to-one talk, or
We might come back to ego, because otherwise, if we start it now, we could use the rest of the time. But what I want to jump back to, so we started this 10 years ago. We've identified that we need a coach. You're working in super successfully in the corporate world. You spent 20 years in marketing. Tell us the impact and maybe how things unraveled from having that moment of clarity, because I think there's quite a lot of people. You explained it beautifully, that there was a third eye, and this is something I'm going to remember, the tram going from here to here to here and coming back.
How many translations? 3?
3? Totally, you've got me. I can see your hand behind in this third eye. So then you go to the coach. Continue the story for us.
I went to the coach, and I realized that I would have been way more powerful and successful in my own terms if I would have gone back to who I was before accepting that job role.
Wow.
Again, I studied economics at university. I graduated with honors, basically for my parents, because I did it quietly, unaware. And then after 3 weeks, I started. I was in a kind of momentum. I started just working in this company, and if I have to say, it was not chosen. It was very, I would say, Italian, what I did, because I had, this is a job. So I said, okay, I'm graduated, I've done what I had to do, let's take it. And so as I mentioned before, I was successful. I traveled the world. I managed beautiful projects with amazing people, but there was something missing. I was always somehow interested in my mind. I was always a sport addict, if I can label myself like that. I was always, in that kind of direction. I was very creative, and in a bank, I was in the headquarters of a bank. You don't need to express that creativity, even if I'm not a banker technically. So I decided, let's try to go somewhere else, and somewhere else doing I don't know what. So there was part of my transition, figuring out what I could have done that would have enhanced my main interests and would have allowed me to express myself fully. And so basically it was a decision that behind which there was a certain percentage of risk that I decided to take. Because the more you study the enemy, the more the risk collapses. The more you look into the eyes of what is scaring, like a move, like living my corporate job, the more you understand that it's not that risky, because you can equip yourself with something else.
You still, and you mentioned this before, that it's good to feel, it's good to be in touch. So when you were making changes, your emotions and your feelings must have been off the chart one day, through the floor the next day. How do you manage that? Because you're in touch with your feelings, and it seems like that's not super new. It seems like you've always had that, and I think we found that from childhood as well, and so how do you, in these tough situations,
I swim in the bad and in the good. I just welcome my lows.
Yeah.
I truly believe that this is very healthy. It is not normal and either realistic to be always at the peak of your performance. And it's always from the low that you actually realize how to stretch, how to adjust, how to grow, what to change. And there is no pressure. What does it mean? That I do not force myself to change my state if I feel sad, or I feel weak, I feel to cry. I just wait till it passes, it goes away. One thing, I'm active in the process. I'm not just sad and be on the bed looking at the ceiling. No, I do things, and I do feel what is going on, which is being active in the pain.
I think you've hit a point that a lot of people maybe can't understand or wouldn't understand. So I want to spend a little bit of time there. You're at the bottom. The market's crashed. The athlete's broken their leg. You know, and when we talk about what you've just mentioned, it's literally like that. Property markets go up, property markets come down. Athletes perform highly, and in the next minute they break a leg and they're in the hospital. Everything is quite cyclical when we look at it. Economies are cyclical. Everything is cyclical. So it's not a surprise that our emotions are cyclical. But every time that we're at the bottom, a lot of the narrative in motivational books, in inspiration that people are listening to, we're going to get you out of this hole. But you've just said something that I absolutely love, that you're happy. I don't think you're giving yourself a high five, but you're okay. The market's at a low. It's going to come back. We've seen the trends. The athletes at a low. How do you sit in that low period?
Being fully aware that I'm still myself with my own skills and with my toolbox. So it's not because I'm injured that I'm not a champion anymore. I can still be a champ by showing that through patience, through rehab, I will go back even stronger. But no one is stealing from me my true nature and what I learned after so many years of sport, of practice and training. It is very common to feel down if you, I don't know, you can't find a job, or you will find it as soon as you will be ready to find another job. And you have just to see that something is coming without dropping that image. Because as soon as you drop that image, you give the chance to the uncertainty, to the fear to win. Because you are focusing on that area, that possibilities. So you are giving all your energy and look to uncertainty and fear, while you will find a job, you will win again the race, you will do what you want to achieve. And I've always another, let's say, very important little compass in my life, that as soon as you do everything you can, you are satisfied by definition, regardless the results. The other day you shared in a story that sometimes is about numbers, but actually is about joy more. I don't remember if you remember your own story. But it is. I mean, when I do train here, there are so many champions around me, but I'm satisfied of what I do, even if it's Federica's weight, Federica's personal best, because I could not, in that specific moment, give more than that. So it's always 100% that I'm giving. Yeah.
It's very, I think you've made it sound very simple, which is such a beautiful part of your personality, because you make these things sound simple, but it's very true. If you're not feeling great, if you do have an injury, if you're out of a job, what you said is so true. If you keep planning, visualization, all of the small things that I don't think there's much, and maybe you have a thought on this. We keep learning, but a lot of the books are saying the same things, just with a different narrative.
Which is amazing. And this is why I read a lot. Yes. I read generally, I didn't mention it before when we were talking about the books, but I always read 2 books a month. One is on personal development and the other one is on financial development. So, of course, when you read about either or the topics, the things are always the same. Yeah. But because each author is actually addressing the same topic from a different angle, a different perspective, it sounds a different concept, because it's analyzing parts, strengths of that concept that the other author did not analyzes. Actually, it's funny because sometimes I'm trying to guess who's copying who. But I read anyways, because this is the strength. So reading from different perspective about the same thing, and then repetition. So it's through repetition that you really fix things in your mind. And if you can repeat them, it's even better, because you give like a soul and action to the concept that otherwise it stay like a concept, something abstract. We don't need abstract things in life. Life is very practical.
When we find a musician or a rock band or a band that we enjoy, we normally buy in the old days we buy the cassette.
Yeah.
Now we download it to Spotify. And Spotify is interesting because it tells you how much you're listening to a song. When we're talking about progressing as humans through education and books, how many times do you think people find a book that resonates and they read it and maybe read it 3 or 4 times?
I would say it's very rare. It's very rare. To decide to read a book again, it's I'm simplifying now. It's either because you liked the way you felt while reading that book and you want to actually anchor yourself to that feeling again. Let's say I don't read romances, I don't like, but let's say it's a romance, you read it and you want to reread it. Or because you want to go through something particularly complex. And so actually in that case you are studying a book. But in these 2 cases, people were very aware of what the book was communicating to them, while generally people read on the beach, under the umbrella, the side of the pool, and they talk to the phone, they read 2 lines, 100%. A paragraph, then so I don't know how much connection there is between the reader and the book, which is a pity because someone made such an effort to write 200 pages and, do the launch of the book. Yeah. And then there is so much distraction on the other side. And then there is also the fact that I don't know how many people select the book with intent behind it.
It's interesting. I think about it a lot, and I've personally been on a really interesting, I guess, journey for a number of years about reading. I'm very similar to you, and I don't find reading overly relaxing. I don't like reading nonsense. Like, I don't like made up stories, even if it's a beautiful love story. Like, Holly can read them and she gets a lot of joy from it, and a lot of people can, and I think that's amazing. I don't. What I did a number of years ago, I have 2 Audible subscriptions, so that gives me 2 books a month, and I literally just went volume. And so in 1 year I read like 60 books.
Wow.
And honestly, I say it, and I'm not proud of it at all, but I'm open about it. I just went for a volume because I thought reading volume of books was going to help me. But actually now, a lot of the times when I want a book, I go back to my website, I look at the books that I've read, and I pick one of those books and I read it again. And some books, like one of the books that I showed you earlier, I think I've read it 4 times.
Wow. Because
I think it's interesting what you said. And if you ask me now, like last night, I was super tired. What did I read last night? I read for 10 minutes, but in this moment right now, I don't know. So that could be the absolute gold of that book.
Yeah.
And it links in, we spoke a little bit about distraction and patience and all these things. It really links in an interesting way of how we want to develop, but the tools that we have, whether it's sitting having this conversation, and I will remember the 3 stops and the platform. And you've said the word repetition, I think 4 times as well. It's super interesting, I think, to help ourselves and to develop, no matter what it is. I'm laboring a bit on the books, but the repetition and really having focus without distraction, that's what helps us to progress as humans.
Absolutely. Repetition is a very precious, probably boring concept. But it's very important.
Why is it boring?
Not to me, but many people want always to experience something new. It's like they burn things. Repetition it's like when you chew, if you chew, you can actually, first of all, digest better, but you give the time to the brain to understand when it's time to stop eating. Otherwise, you will eat past the point of fullness. So it's a way to stretch the time and digest what you are learning. So repetition is fixing. If you want to build muscle, you have to do repetition. If you want to get better, you need to repeat that thing, neuroplasticity, till the point that you don't even think anymore.
But we're going the other direction.
Which one?
As
unconscious.
But we're going the other direction.
Yeah.
People come to the gym and after 1 week, we did this last week, I'm bored. As a society, as a race, we're going. I'm with you, and I've been running 400 meters intervals since I was 9 years old, And I'm turning 45 and I'm still excited. If it was every week, when I have a block every single week of 400s, I get excited. And I've been running them since school. So I get distracted in other ways, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But as humans, we want new all of the time.
Yeah. The thing is that you get excited every time still because you approach every time as the time. So as the moment in which you are measuring yourself with those sets, which are surely not exactly the same of when you were 9 years old of last year.
They're slower, mate, but thanks.
But anyways, for whichever reason they are slower, you are, and this is what I'm bringing in as a concept, in that moment to learn what that moment potentially can teach you and potentially practically can teach you if you are part of that moment fully. And so this is why it's not boring. It's just a way of approaching the repetition. But
focus in the moment, awareness in the moment, visualization of the moment.
Absolutely.
It's tough. I think it links back to what we spoke about and what you said very early. These concepts that we're speaking about, they're very hard. They take a lot of energy. Do you ever feel that, how can I put this? You have a lot of self-awareness. You do these things that we're speaking about. Do you ever stop and think, am I overcomplicating things here? Why am I not like all of the others? No?
No, I don't. Because I can really feel and see the difference of being blind versus facing things straight in their eyes. And I believe that being unaware is a loss overall. You're not in a learning state. You walk down the street unaware that things are happening around you and there might be an opportunity behind your back. I'm not overcomplicating. Actually, is when you are active in a specific circumstance that you have clarity about all the elements involved in that circumstance. So it's not a complication, but it's clarity. And clarity is, by definition, a perspective that simplifies things, that gives you the power to decide what to do. Yeah. So I think about it.
Because I think that for a lot of people, a lot of people will disagree with a lot of what we've said. And that's good. I think that's healthy. Guys, if you're listening and you agree with everything, then we've definitely got a problem. And people, like I gave the example, Holly will read a love story or make her sound quite soppy. I don't think it's always a love story, but she'll read all these different stories, and that's what she does, and that's what makes her happy. And I think you and I would do stuff differently. We spoke about it. You'll make notes on a book, and sometimes I'll break out of a book and just write and sometimes I'll publish it, sometimes I won't. But if you understand the process that you use as an individual, that's kind of where we want to get to. And then that process isn't, you said it, it's not hard, you know? I don't find it hard to wake up and go running or to go to the gym. You don't find it hard to read a book and make notes on it. You find that super enjoyable.
Yeah.
But you've spent a lot of time to reach that point and a lot of hard work to reach that point. So that point to a lot of people might seem hard, but you've already done
yes
the hard.
Correct. And I would say that whoever enjoys something or someone is because has linked to that particular action, experience, person, enjoyment.
Yeah.
So whenever there is a good reason behind what you do, who you are with, you do things effortlessly. So this is the secret, to understand at first what brings you joy and fulfillment, because that makes a difference of acting just to act and acting with a purpose. So waking up at 4 a.m. is for many, what? But why don't you sleep? Because they don't find a why behind going and run, going outside and at the circuit. But for many there is. It brings sweat, pain, whatever, but a lot of fulfillment that only that person can understand. And it's fine. It's fine that there is this division among people.
We're not all the same.
We are not all the same. And as I always say, it's very beautiful to share the energy among people that understand what you're talking about. When I work with people that understand what I'm talking about. I don't hunt for them because it will be an imposition. While if you are chosen as an experience, as a person, as a professional, whatever, there is already this magic exchange of energies, synergies that makes the game so easy and way more effective, certainly with the achievement of something. Yeah.
Incredible. We can talk all day.
Yeah.
We genuinely could. I didn't get half of the way through your story, so I have to have you back. But that was, we talked for an hour already, and it feels like nothing. It's incredible. I really appreciate.
Thank you.
Your energy, your viewpoints. It's good we don't see everything exactly the same, and I think that plays into the fact that we all are quite different. But I appreciate your energy. From the moment you arrived in Show No Weakness, I'm like, who is this person? She's so relaxed. She has everything. There's something, and it's taken.
But I got lost. Sorry.
But you didn't care. You were okay with it. And it's taken me a year basically to sit down. But Federica, I appreciate you, and thank you so much for all of your insights.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you. I enjoyed it very much. Thanks.